All right, let's talk about the Gabba, because this wasn't just any cricket match. No way. The second Ashes test was, well, it was a 4-day story, a real grind. We saw momentum swing back and forth, incredible pressure, and it all came down to just one devastating session that basically decided the whole thing.
And to really get a feel for this match, I think we have to start at the end, with this quote. This is what England's captain Ben Stokes said after the loss. And it just says it all, doesn't it? It really gets to the heart of what this contest was about. Yeah, it was a test of skill, for sure, but maybe even more than that, it was about mental strength.
Okay, so before all that drama, before the tough loss, things actually started out really well for England. I mean, there was this real glimmer of hope right at the beginning. They came out of the gate strong, and it was all built on an absolute masterclass from their main man.
And when I say a rocky start, I mean they were 2 wickets down for just 5 runs. It looked bad, but they didn't just recover. They put up a seriously competitive first innings total of 334. You gotta remember, in a day-night test, batting first and getting that kind of score, that should put you in the driver's seat. And one guy, he was the anchor for all of it.
138. That number right there, that was Joe Root's score. And it was huge. But honestly, it was so much bigger than just the runs. For a player as good as Joe Root, it's kind of crazy to think that this was his first ever century in Australia. That's a monkey he'd been trying to get off his back for his entire career.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It shows you the insane amount of pressure he was under. This wasn't just another 100. This was Joe Root finally climbing his own personal Everest. And in doing so, he put his team in what looked like a brilliant spot.
But you know how it goes in cricket. Right after that high point for England, the momentum completely flipped. This is where Australia started to punch back, and punch back hard. It was the first big turning point of the whole match.
So yeah, this is where it all changed. At 383 for 7, Australia's looking okay, but the game is anyone's really. It's right in the balance. And then their lower order did what Aussie lower orders do. They just refused to get out. It's a classic Aussie thing, right? Gritty tail-enders who can really bat. They took a kind of shaky position and turned it into total dominance. We're talking an unbelievable 128 runs for the last 3 wickets.
And all that fight back boils down to this one number, 177. That was Australia's lead after the first innings. All of a sudden, England's 334, which looked so good, started to feel a little small. And that lead, it wasn't just a cushion, it became a weapon for Australia.
And the guy behind this whole turnaround, the main architect, with both bat and ball, it was one man, Mitchell Starc. He didn't just chip in, he basically wrote the story of this match.
I mean, just take a look at these stats. His 77 with the bat was so gutsy, and it was crucial in building that lead. And then with the ball in hand, absolutely devastating. 6 wickets in the first innings, another 2 in the second. It was the complete all-round performance. No-brainer for player of the match, really.
Okay, so now we get to the second, and honestly, the decisive turning point. We're talking about one single session on day 3 where this match wasn't just tilted, it was blown wide open. This is the moment where any hope England had was just gone.
Look at this timeline. It's pure carnage. In just about 25 overs, under the lights, with that pink ball doing all sorts of things, England's top order just fell apart. You can see how fast it happened. They go from a pretty solid 48 for 1 to a complete disaster at 128 for 6. The pressure was just too much, and the wickets, they just kept falling, one after the other.
And here's the thing. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't just bad luck for England. This quote from Starc, it reveals the strategy, the tactical genius behind it. See, when Australia's lower order was fighting back, it wasn't just about the runs. It was about batting time. They stretched their innings out on purpose, just so they could have a brand new hard pink ball in their hands, under the lights, the absolute worst time to be a batsman.
So by the time day 4 rolls around, the game is pretty much lost for England. But it's not quite over yet. They still had some fight left in them. Led by their captain, they mounted one last defiant stand against what really felt like the inevitable.
It was Ben Stokes and Will Jacks who really dug their heels in. They showed all the grit and patience that was completely missing the night before. It wasn't pretty, it was slow, it was a real grind, and it ended up being England's longest partnership of the whole series so far.
They added 96 runs together, and more than the runs, they batted for almost 37 overs, just holding off that Aussie attack. It was that little spark, that flicker of fight that England needed. It proved they could do it, even if it was way too late to actually change the outcome. And of course, eventually, that resistance had to be broken.
And the way it was broken was pretty special. You know, for a bowler to take 5 wickets in one innings, it's a huge deal. In cricket, we call it a fifer. It's a massive achievement. And that's exactly what was about to happen.
And the man of the moment was the local hero Michael Neser. He's the one who got the big breakthrough, getting rid of both Jacks and Stokes. Then he just cleaned up the tail, finishing with incredible figures of 5 for 42. And get this, it was his first ever fifer in Test cricket, and he did it on his home ground. What a moment for him. And that right there sealed the deal for England.
So, that brings us to the end game. England's all out. Australia only needs 65 runs to win, which is nothing. But the real story here isn't about that tiny chase. It's about the massive, monumental challenge that England is now staring down for the rest of this series.
And this slide? Well, it lays out the cold, hard facts, the brutal reality. Of course, Australia got the 65 runs easily, but look at this. This is the 15th time England has gone 2-0 down in an Ashes series in Australia. And the other 14 times it happened, they lost. Every single time. History is absolutely not on their side.
Which brings us full circle, right back to Captain Stokes. Remember that defiance we started with? Well, that's gone. Now it's just a blunt, honest take on where they're at. No excuses. He's basically saying, yeah, we've got to sort this out, and they need to do it fast.
So really, it all boils down to this one simple, impossible thing. England has to do something no English team has ever done. They have to win the next 3 games in a row in Australia to win back the Ashes. The question isn't just if they can do it. It's more like, is it even possible to defy over a century of history like that? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.